Hello and welcome to NewsCentre. I'm Parikshit Luthra. The government has ordered Indigo to curtail its winter schedule by 10%. This is double of what the DGCA had prescribed earlier. The decision by the government comes after massive cancellations at India's largest airline for a week that led to what has been arguably the worst implosion for the sector. While the situation has largely stabilized, flight cancellations continue. Around 300 Indigo flights were cancelled today. The airline CEO has been asked to appear before the regulator tomorrow. That's not all. The Parliamentary Panel on Transport has summoned top Indigo officials next Wednesday. The DGCA has also deployed an oversight team at the Indigo headquarters in Gurugram. Meanwhile, the Delhi High Court criticised the government and concerned authorities over steps that were taken during the Indigo crisis. It also questioned why the centre failed to prevent airfares from soaring to exorbitant levels. The court was also hearing a PIL seeking an independent judicial probe into the crisis and mass flight cancellations. It directed Indigo to issue refunds and compensation for cancellations at the earliest. SpiceJet and Air India have offered to ramp up capacity to fill the gap created by the government's decision to curtail Indigo's schedule. We're now joined by aviation expert Sanjay Lazar and Captain Saurabh Bhatnagar, former senior commander, also with us on the program. Let me go across to you, Captain Bhatnagar, at this point. You know, the DGCA has further curtailed Indigo's schedule. Now, their winter schedule stands curtailed by an overall 10%. How will the other airlines step in to absorb this? And what would be the impact on the end user, the average passenger?
Hi, good evening, Parikshit, and good evening, Sanjay ji. So this is what the crisis of this magnitude, first of all, I would say that's had to happen. Now, it doesn't happen all of it doesn't happen all of a sudden overnight. It doesn't happen. The telltale signs were with the Indigo. They failed to respond. That's what I think. They did not monitor all these things, FDTL and everything, shortage pilots, everything. Now, what DGCA has done it 10%, and I have heard that over and above, Indigo has come up and said they are cancelling not only 10%, which is around 230 plus, but we are cancelling 400 to 500 flights per day. Now, this 10%, which has to be absorbed by the Air India or Akasa or the SpiceJet, the DGCA is still working out which slots to be given to these airlines. The other 400, the other 250 will be cancelled, and with the slots will be retained by the Indigo. Yes, it is a difficult task. The overnight, the airlines cannot come straight away. Though Air India has said that they have the capacity, Akasa has introduced 100 flights, but yes, it will impact the passengers, those who've already booked in advance. And all of a sudden, deploying more aeroplanes on the routes, I think we need to see, because it has not happened as of now, because DGCA has still not given these slots to the other airlines. They're still working it out. Once they give the slot, then it is a question to see whether these airlines can take up immediate like this with the existing number of aircrafts they have. And what about the routes they've already booked the ticket, the slots which already have. So it is yet too early to say what the action they take. As far as Air India and the Spice, they're saying that they're absolutely ready, but still till the time the slots are given and they start operating on these sectors or on these slots, it is difficult to say at this moment. But yes, it will be a challenging task for these airlines, three including Akasa, to fill up the gap which has been curtailed at least till 10th of February by DGCA. And I don't know whether they're going to remain for the entire winter schedule or 10th. This is depending upon how the airline is going to submit the plan, which is they're supposed to do it today in the evening by 5 o'clock to the DGCA, what is their schedule they're going to do till 10th of February, so that to get the normalcy back and get that buffer which they utilized. And there was a mammoth cancellations of this large, first of its kind seen in the country so far.
Right. Let me go across to Sanjay Lazar. Sanjay Lazar, when it comes to airfares, the government has capped fares right now. So do you expect any monetary pressures on passengers in the near term? And how will this situation continue over the next few months? Because clearly Indigo will need time to restore normalcy.
Thank you for having me, Parikshit, and good evening to Captain Saurabh also. Yes, Indigo has, government has capped them at 10%. I did expect slightly higher, and I do think that may come. We don't know yet. But like Captain Saurabh pointed out, Indigo on its own has offered up 500 flights, right? So that's what is going to be a significant knock. Air India and Air India Express and SpiceJet have already stated that they are willing to pick up the gauntlet and run with this. They have buffer pilots. Some of them may, I don't know if SpiceJet will have to revive some aircrafts that are grounded. I also believe Akasa might jump in. They have aircraft. There's one new aircraft joining, and in the next few months, they'd have quite a few aircraft. So maybe they might want to throw their hat in the ring here too. But coming to your main point of how will this impact passengers? Now, you'll have to look at the kind of routes that Indigo gives up and the flights it gives up because, as Captain Saurabh rightly said, Indigo had till 5 o'clock this evening to submit a revised winter schedule, which then the DGCA would examine and then approve. It will also, I'm sure Indigo will take the smart way out and not knock off flights which they've got full bookings, because remember, we're talking about the entire Christmas, New Year and holiday period. People who've booked earlier, 3 months, 6 months out, will be left, without a paddle in the middle of the ocean, trying to rebook on another airline. I do expect some short-term pressure on the fares. I do expect fares to go up. Yes, you're right. There is a cap, but we don't know how long that cap is going to last. Whether that cap, is in perpetuity till the DGCA's rules come into force, that's Feb 10th or not. That has not been made clear by the ministry or by the DGCA. We'll have to wait and see for that. But I look at this as a chance, Parikshit, to restructure aviation. Like Captain Saurabh said, this was a problem coming. And very important, Parikshit, if you look at the investor call-outs of Indigo, of Interglobe in May and November 4th this year, they, at both the points, the CEO, CFO told the public that you don't have to worry about the new DGCA, FDTL. Everything is under control. So internally, obviously, they were either misguided or they believed that this would not come into force, or that the pilots they had could manage this. And I don't know how, because they are even today below the actual standard force that any normal carrier would take. They really run their operations very efficiently and thin. But sometimes that efficiency, if something goes wrong, can fall on the wrong side of the line, like it's done this time. So I expect some blood in the water still.
All right. Now, coming back to the issue of what action should be taken, do you feel that this is a fit case, Captain Bhatnagar, for the passengers to be compensated, considering that this was not a weather-related disruption, this was not a airport-related disruption, so to say. This clearly was the flight duty time limitations was something, a rule that the airline had to comply with. They did not comply with it, despite the fact that they had 2 years to do so. So many meetings had also taken place. Do you feel that this is a fit case where the DGCA should order compensation to passengers?
Absolutely. See, the Parikshit, the rule is already existing. There is a civil aviation requirement, CAR, which says Section 3, says Series M, Para 4, Part 4. This is laid down. It's a rule which is laid down by Government of India that other than the refund, there has to be a compensation paid to the passengers if they are not rescheduling the flight or giving an additional ticket. If the passenger says, no, I don't want additional ticket, then that apart from the refund of the ticket, they are supposed to be paid subject to what flight they have booked. It is, what is the block timing of the flight. It is laid down, though amount is very small. It ranges from 5,000 to, 10,000 rupees only. Or a refund or a rescheduling of the ticket. This rule is already there, but I do not know whether Indigo is doing that or not. Other than that, of these rules, what about the baggage which the Indigo has been keeping for the passenger for the last many days now, because they don't know. Some passengers are still there at the airport, the baggage have been flown out. So now what is the compensation? Definitely now the DGCA should address, the government should address this as an additional thing for the compensation for the baggages, which the rule is already existing for the compensation, but not for the baggage. And absolutely, this is not a case of extraordinary, some circumstances where you have an earthquake, we have a political instability, or you have, adverse weather, which the airline can claim, no, they cannot pay a compensation. Nothing. This is the pure fault of the FD, of the Indigo, and a poor monitoring by DGCA. That is the thing. So they should pay the additional compensation.
Okay, coming back to Sanjay Lazar. Sanjay Lazar, there have been now calls for the sacking of the Indigo CEO. Ramo Naidu, the aviation minister, was asked about that in the interview, and he said that if the situation so demands and if after our inquiry we do feel so, then we will try and take that action. Can the government take such action under law?
Well, it'll be a tough, long shot because he may not be the accountable officer on record with the DGCA. If he is, then he will be sacked. Yes, of course. The law provides for it. The DGCA card provides for it if he's signing. But I do believe here the COO and maybe the senior vice president operations may be, the accountable officer. However, I do believe there's going to be, one was the passenger charter that needs to be revived, like Europe and UK, and I've been fighting and shouting hoarse for this. Number two, I also think the minister needs to look inwards. And I'm saying this very bluntly because he dropped the ball on his watch. He should have been monitoring this system. His DGCA should have been monitoring the internal, understandings that Indigo had with many officers in this government setup. Should have been probed. And I'm hoping that there's a deeper inquiry by higher ups in the government because this needs to be cleansed. This is the time to restructure Indian aviation. This is the time to clean house, and this is the time to move forward. We are a dynamic nation that's the fastest growing aviation market. It's not about one CEO of Indigo alone. There's a whole ecosystem that's been corrupted here, and we need to stop this. How could somebody tell their board or that we have enough pilots, we're no longer worried? I mean, you look at the average utilization of an Indigo pilot and look at an average Indigo, of an Airbus pilot in Air India Express or Air India. There's almost 20 to 30% difference. So I see a lot more, action happening in this front.
All right. Thank you so much, Sanjay Lazar and Captain Bhatnagar, for joining us. Definitely a crisis for Indian aviation. And as you said, it's not just fixing accountability at Indigo. There is possibly need for some introspection within the aviation ministry as well. Thank you very much for joining us on NewsCentre. We're taking a short break, but up next, Amazon and Microsoft bet big on India, announced two of the country's largest ever AI-focused investments. Cognizant and Intel also meet PM Modi to discuss investment plans. Details on the other side.
"26 years of